Hey friends, welcome back to Stappystamper. My name is Terry Stapp and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Central Texas. If you joined me last week for Choose Happy card number 1, we made a super simple card using minimal supplies, just paper, ink, and stamps. This week we're going to gussy it up a little bit with some designer series paper and a paper punch. So thanks for being here and let's get stamping. All right, y'all, let's gussy up our card today. To make Choose Happy card number 2, you're going to need a few items. You're going to need the Choose Happy stamp set that we used last week, cherry cobbler cardstock, basic black cardstock, basic white cardstock. You're going to need your stamping blocks, Memento black ink, envelopes, mini dimensionals, black and white patterned DSP. So for this one, I dug into my stash. If you don't have any black and white DSP, I'm going to recommend the Halloween Spells. There is some black and white striped DSP in that stack. You may need a cherry cobbler Stampin' Blend marker, and I'll explain that later. A label punch or die. If you don't have one, I'm going to recommend the mixed labels dies from the mini catalog. And then you need a heart punch or die. So the Adoring Hearts hybrid embossing folder has some hearts that will punch out for you. And then if you prefer a punch, the Bee Builder punch is one that has a heart in there. I'm using my label die, and I have a heart punch from several years ago that I'm going to be using, but if you don't have one, these are some good options. So the card we're going to make today can look like this or can look like this. So if you don't have a punch or embossing folder or die cut machine, I don't want you to say, oh, I can't make that card. You can make the card. What you'll do is just stamp the hearts and color them in, which is where your cherry cobbler Stampin' Blend marker will come in handy. So as always, I have your project sheet here with directions and photos on step-by-step how to make this card. I'm going to move that out of the way and bring in my supplies to make the card. Okay. You are going to need your card base is 11 by 4 1/4. You're going to score it at 5 1/2. And I'm going to use my bone folder just to get a really nice crease on that one. You're going to have 2 pieces of basic black, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. You're going to need a piece of basic white cut at 5 1/4 by 4. You're going to need some scraps for your basic white. There's that designer series paper. So that black and white pattern designer series paper, you're going to need 1 strip at 4 1/4 by 3/4 and a piece at cut to 4 by 3. Additionally, for your basic white, you have a piece of 4 by 2 and a piece of 4 by 1 3/4. And then additionally for your basic black, you're going to need a 4 by 2 and a 4 1/4 by 1. All right, the first thing that I'm going to have you do is go through, and I want you to find your piece of basic white that's 4 by 2. Just like we did last week, we're going to place our piece of 4x2 basic black and decide where this piece is going to live when we glue it down. So probably about halfway, I'm going to use my grid lines. If you want to use a ruler, that works as well. But I'm just going to mark my spot so I know where this paper is going to go later. Now, the next thing that I'm going to have you do is get your stamping done. So you're going to stamp a few things. You're going to want to stamp happy. We're going to use the same ones that we did last week, happy. And it's a Valentine's card, so we're going to do Heart Day. Those are going to go in your Memento black ink. And my happy is going to go right up here above my pencil line. So I'm going to line that up. And that piece is done. Then I'm going to find my piece of basic white that's just the scrap piece. And I'm going to stamp that piece with Heart Day. And it doesn't really matter where. There's my Heart Day. If you are going to make the one with the hearts and color it in, this is also where you're going to take the heart from the Choose Happy stamp set, and you're just going to randomly stamp on your piece of 4 by 1 3/4. If you do have a heart die or a heart punch, you're going to take your piece of 1 3/4. You're going to punch out all of your hearts, and then you're just going to glue them down in random places. So my heart punch has 3 different shapes. There's kind of a tall, skinny one, a shorter, wider one, and then a little one. If you notice, it hangs off the back. So I want that movement. I want some of my heart pieces to be off the page. So when it hangs off, I'm just going to take my paper snips and trim those edges off so everything is flush on all the sides. Just like this. Okay. Clear off my board so we don't have paper scraps laying around everywhere. Okay, so you have, that's really it for your stamping and your decorating. The rest of putting it together is just pretty much gluing things down. So I have the sentiment piece, happy, the rest of the sentiment, Heart Day, and then you have your 4 by 1 3/4 that either has the heart stamped and colored in, or your paper punch hearts glued down, and then you've trimmed the edges. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to take out one of the pieces of 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 of your basic black. You're also going to need your piece of 4 by 3 designer series paper. And these are going to go on here. It will leave a gap, and that's okay because I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So I'm going to put adhesive on the back here. And I'm going to leave a border. It should leave about 1/8 of a border around the side, the bottom, and the other side. And I'm going to take my happy piece, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put adhesive on the back, and I'm going to glue this up at the top. I'm also going to leave a border around the top and both sides. And this is the gap I was talking about, but that's okay because we're going to cover up that gap. So we're going to take our heart page, the 4 by 1 3/4 that either has the paper punched hearts or the hearts that you stamped and colored in. So whichever one you're doing, you're going to take it and you're going to adhere it to the piece of 4 by 2 basic black. That's going to leave a border at the top and at the bottom. Okay. This is going to go and cover that gap. So I have adhesive. Let's see, I think I want it that way. And I'm going to use my line to guide me. And I have a border on both sides. And my card front is starting to come together. Guys, this is ready to go onto the piece of cherry cobbler. That is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. So I'm going to have my front of my card. And I'm going to pop it right down here. After I get it straight. Okay, now I need my sentiment. So I'm going to take my Heart Day and I'm going to take my label punch and I'm going to punch out. I'm going to line it up and I'm going to punch out my Heart Day. If you have a label punch, use your label punch. You may have a die that will cut labels as well. If not, just trim around it. You can use your paper trimmer or you can use scissors to just cut around Heart Day. Now this is where we're going to use our dimensionals. And I'm going to take 3 mini dimensionals. 1, 2, 3. Peel off the back. And I'm going to pop it down right down here underneath, making sure that it's nice and straight. All right. So what I want now is I want another little heart. Do you see how I kind of moved my Heart Day over to the left a little bit and left a bigger space here on the right-hand side? So I'm going to take my heart punch and I'm going to punch out. I actually want 2 of them. I want a little one for the front and a little one for the inside. So I used my paper punch. I'm going to use a little bit of adhesive. And I'm going to put this one right there. Okay. Happy Heart Day. The front of our card is done. Now let's work on the inside. So the inside, you have your other piece of basic black that is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then you have your piece of basic white that's 5 1/4 by 4. And you have a piece of basic black that's 5 1/4 by 1. And another piece of designer series paper that's 5 1/4 by 3/4. So I'm going to put these together. Now, if you remember from last week, this strip at the bottom of my card is going to be too long. I like to make it a little bit longer so it will hang off, and then I can trim it flush with the sides of my card. If you don't like that, then cut it to size. Don't cut it to 4 1/4. Cut it to 4. So you'd have a 4x1 and a 4x3/4. So it's hanging over. I'm taking my paper snips and I'm going to trim that off. I have one little heart left. I'm going to plop that down on the front too. You can plop it right here or down here. I think I'm going to put it right up here this time. A little bit of adhesive and my heart is going to go right there. Okay, this is now ready to be matted onto your basic black. Get it on there nice and straight. And then your basic black piece here is ready for adhesive. And we're going to put that on the inside of our card. All right, there is our gussied up version of our Choose Happy card number 1. We had the designer series paper added, and then we had the punch, or we just added the strip that had the heart stamped and colored in. But either way, it's going to make a beautiful Valentine's card that anybody would be happy to receive. All right, next week we're going to make our fancy schmancy card with our Choose Happy stamp set. So I hope you'll join me then. Bye.